you're on thyroid medication and bioidentical hormones, you'd expect to be feeling well, but many aren't. Even with normal thyroid labs, healthy hormone levels, some can still see symptoms like weight creeping up, fatigue or brain fog, insomnia, anxiety. This isn't your fault. Menopause changes how your body works. That's true for thyroid hormones and also for estrogen. In today's video, I'm going to help you understand how the changes of menopause, the changes that hormones cause to your body, how these things affect thyroid medications, how they affect your body's use of thyroid hormones. We'll talk about a couple of nutrients that can help a lot, a couple of nutrients to look out for actually, and then the adrenal connection with menopause. My name is Dr. Alan Christianson. I'm a board-certified naturopathic endocrinologist with 30 years of focus on treating thyroid disease naturally. So estrogen in perimenopause and menopause. What's going on here? Let's get some background for starters. So perimenopause is a time in which your hormones are changing, your periods are shifting, but they haven't quit altogether. Once your periods have naturally stopped for a year or longer, we then say it's menopause. But before that, when there's symptoms, we call that perimenopause. What's happening here is that estrogen is spiking and crashing. It's going up and down really fast. Your body's exposed to radical swings of estrogen. And this is what causes so many of those symptoms. Now, here's the thing. Those radical swings of symptoms, they also change thyroid binding globulin. As estrogen goes up or down, your body's resistance or acceptance to thyroid hormones is also changing. And this is especially important for those on thyroid medication. This is why your scores can fluctuate, your symptoms may not stabilize well, and it seems really hard to get everything right. Now, the difference with menopause is here, estrogen levels dip down and they stay lower. What's happening specifically is that the ovaries are not making estradiol quite as much, but the adrenals are now tasked with making more estrone to compensate. And many who are here need less thyroid treatment than they did before. If they're on over-treatment or unnecessary treatment, this can worsen symptoms. Paradoxically, this can cause the same symptoms of under-treatment, back to things like the weight gain, the hair loss, the fatigue. But we can also see with treatment that's unnecessary, there's a lot of risks to the bones, to the hearts, to the brains, etc. So all these things shift, and it's got to be taken into account properly. The next consideration is HRT. So we can think about oral estrogen, topical estrogen, progesterone compounds, oral and topical. The short version of this is classically oral estrogen makes the body more thyroid resistant. And in almost all cases, that means someone will need thyroid treatment if they didn't otherwise, or if they're on it, they need modifications to it. And this is also worth considering going off of HRT. If you're on thyroid meds and you're going off HRT, you'll probably need less thyroid meds. Now, medical guidelines tell us that transdermal estrogen or progesterone won't affect this quite as much, and that's often the case, but for many, it's still the case. So HRT, it's not a bad thing. It's totally appropriate. It can be very helpful for many, but you've got to take into account it often does shift your thyroid needs. So if you're on thyroid treatment and you're starting or stopping or changing HRT, it's really worth checking your levels, watching your symptoms closely, and knowing you might need some adjustments. So here's a couple of things that can be really helpful for nutrients that buffer and stabilize a lot of this. Number one big helper is molybdenum. Kind of a funny name, right? But that's a chemical element, and this affects many sulfur-containing amino acid pathways in liver metabolism. Why is that relevant? Well, this is one of the ways your body keeps hormones in balance. There's the hormones that come into our bloodstream from topicals or from pills or from what our body makes. And then there's how those things are circulated and rearranged and eliminated. So much of that fine tuning comes down to your liver metabolism. And many cofactors help your liver to work properly. So molybdenum affects many of these sulfur-containing amino acid pathways that helps your liver buffer everything and get it all right. The amounts coming in need to be in the ballpark, but they're never perfect. So your body has to be able to fine-tune that. And when you're on HRT and or your hormones are fluctuating rapidly from perimenopause, it's just more work to get it all right. It's harder. And if all those little delicate balancing things aren't just dialed in, it won't be stable. Another big helper is selenium. Now, this is important for T4, T3 conversion. This is also important for clearing reverse T3 and making T2 out of it. This is a little thyroid nerdy, so forgive me, but you'll often hear about reverse T3 as a bad guy. So T4 is made into T3. Both T4 and T3 are active hormones. They both do quite a bit in the body. You'll hear many say that T3 is the only active one. That's not true. T4 does things that are important too. They're both needed. But there's also T2. So we need some reverse T3 to make T2, but we've got to convert all this stuff. And selenium is a big part of that converting properly. And this is also relevant for free radical protection. Your thyroid is the area that processes the most iodine in the body by far. And it needs it, it's important, but this makes massive amounts of free radicals. Iodine generates that. So selenium is needed to control those free radicals and keep them better in check, keep them from going out of control as much. Now, like all nutrients, selenium has a healthy window. You can get too little, you can get too much. Cliff's notes on this: it's really not probable to get too much from the diet. Now, the one thing people ask about is Brazil nuts. They've got so much selenium, and that's cool because you can have a few a day and be unlikely to be low in dietary selenium. The wonderful thing is that the kind of selenium they contain is one that our bodies can eliminate when we wish. So it really doesn't bioaccumulate. That's not true of selenium in supplements in general. So within supplements, you want to keep a window. It's really good to have 50, 100, maybe 150 micrograms per day tops, but you want to really keep that top at no more than 300 micrograms at the very highest. But Brazil nuts, a couple a day are really good insurance. And selenium does some unusual things that are different between dietary intake and supplemental intake. They're both helpful. So throw in a couple Brazil nuts. Make sure your micronutrient support includes reasonable amounts of selenium, and consider all sources together that it's not overloading. Molybdenum also is one that's nice to get in micronutrient support. You know, I formulated Thyroid Daily. This is made by thyroid-specific formulations, and we got these two in there in appropriate forms and amounts. Now, another good action step is to be aware of nutrients that can be problematic and avoid them, keep them out of your mix. Biggest single one is synthetic B6, also known as pyridoxine HCl, pyridoxine hydrochloride. You'll see this in a lot of energy drinks, electrolytes, multivitamins, adrenal formulas, and it's the total amount that matters. It's really easy to get too much. The synthetic B6 has to be converted to pyridoxal 5-phosphatase. That's the natural form of B6. You'll see that called P5P or PLP, different names for that. But this form doesn't really have the negative side effects. But synthetic B6, if there's too much, we can see neuropathy. We can see horrible anxiety symptoms, neurologic symptoms, worsening of hot flashes, tremors, painful extremities. It's a big deal, and it's surprisingly common. If you are having any of those odd symptoms, you may check your levels of B6, your serum levels. If they're high, that can be a culprit. So good ones to be aware of, good ones to avoid. One more one to avoid is manganese. The body needs trace amounts. We get plenty in the diet, but if we're above 3 to 5 milligrams per day, it can suppress the thyroid and worsen many of these thyroid symptoms. So in Thyroid Daily, I put in molybdenum and selenium in the right forms and amounts, and I left out synthetic B6 and manganese. They're not needed, they're only counterproductive. The last thing to think through is your adrenal health in menopause. I mentioned before how with perimenopause and menopause, the ovaries are first going really active up and down and then slowing down. The adrenals compensate for that. So when they're healthy and working well, this whole process goes smoother. If they aren't, it doesn't. The big thing here is being aware of your total stress load, your sleep quality, your daily rhythms. The biggest way you can help to control your adrenals is by having your body go through regular recurrent rhythms of wake and sleep. So in the morning, get exposed to at least about half an hour of daylight or light that is as bright as you would get outdoors. That's a critical thing. Also have a good meal with some healthy protein and some healthy carbohydrates within your first hour of being awake. What this does is it makes your body do a better job letting thyroid hormones enter your cells, and also it helps you respond better to estrogen and buffer the changes in estrogen. So adrenal health is critical for that. So the big thing to think about is be aware about how thyroid meds and natural hormones can interact. If you're changing one, you really need to consider changes and retests for the others. Think about your micronutrients, the good ones to include, the harmful ones to avoid, and then think really about your adrenal health, your stress response, your body's daily rhythms. The basic idea is that menopause, perimenopause, these are changes, but they're changes that don't have to be traumatic or dramatic. They can be smooth, they can be easier. And these are some really big action steps that make that go better for you. And if you learned one new thing from this video, please subscribe for some more fresh ideas and hit the like button so others can get these new insights as well. Take care and we'll talk soon.